March 20th, 2020. Fun movie for both children and adults. A very fun and funny film, which somehow combines actual filmed adults with very expressive miniature chipmunk creatures. Well
Somehow.
written, with a good storyline. Actually, very thoughtfully done. I enjoyed it immensely. Also, check out another one. Road Chip.
Wow, I'm glad that they recommended it at the end there, because, I don't know if we were gonna watch it otherwise.
Welcome to the Speakuel Room, another episode of the Speakuel podcast, where we delve into these cinematic universes and try to unfurl them, the connected sinewy tissue that lines their... Okay, yeah, I won't go into detail.
A little violent.
little much. But it is there. The sinewy tissue is there. If you're just not looking hard enough.
Listen, I get that you're a robot, but you can't just use these meat words all willy-nilly with it. Well, wait, you're not a lot.
Listen, I ain't meat either, but we got... Well, everyone, it's happened. We've watched the third Alvin and the Chipmunks movie. And I gotta say, I don't want to jump the gun here, but y'all... I liked it.
My virgin eyes.
I'll be honest here. I mean, I didn't want to jump the gun either, but I think, despite what it is, being the third Chipmunks movie that doesn't really have a lot to do with the themes of, the other two, I think this is the best movie out of the three.
I thought you were gonna stop at best movie.
I think this might be the best movie
ever.
I don't know about that.
Well, there's no setup required in terms of having to get us to know who the chipmunks are and getting us used to singing chipmunks or the chipettes. It's just, hey, here are these guys and they're about to go on a wacky adventure.
I like how you said getting us used to singing chipmunks. Like the characters in this movie, we need somebody to, pull us away and be like, look, you're going to see some things on the screen that are going to frighten you, but it's okay.
Look, we know it's not normal.
They're dancing, singing chipmunks. They can't hurt you. They can hurt Dave, though.
Oh, they can.
Dave, they do.
No, they can hurt Dave.
So, the basic premise for this is exactly what, the title would suggest, that they were on a boat, a cruise ship, and then they got... Well, I guess they didn't really get shipwrecked.
They got shipwrecked.
Well, they didn't, because their ship did not wreck. They flew away on a kite on accident, because they were being irresponsible as usual, which is kind of the theme of the movie. And I know how we were kind of I wonder if this is going to be the Theodore movie. It's not. It's still the Alvin and Simon movie.
Well, it's more of the Alvin movie, this one, which I'm glad for, honestly. Well, they give Simon an arc in this movie, but it's not like the second movie where he was a driving conflict with the movie. It's more he has his own thing going on in this movie, and
oh boy, does he!
And it's to really let the apotheosis of Alvin shine through. This is what this movie's really about, despite being a Nickelodeon-type live-action animated CG movie.
It really is like a TV movie. It really is.
It certainly just, gives the vibe of, not a lot could really, get to you with this movie. It's made for TV. It'll come on and you'll watch all of it. And that's...
it'll come on and you like just got home from school and you're like working on homework and it's on the TV and you're like, I don't really want to watch this, but there's like nothing else on. And so you just kind of keep it on and you're like half paying attention to it, but you definitely know what happens in the movie. And by the end of it, you're like kind of a little invested. And then when shit starts going down, and by shit I mean a volcano starts exploding, then you start to really pay attention to the movie. And then they got you.
The treasure's mine!
So before we get too deep into, I guess, Alvin's whole situation and Simone and all that, we'll get to that. I want to bring to light a question that this movie unintentionally asks or offers. See, while they're on this deserted island, the Chipmunks and Chipettes run into a woman who has been there for, I think she said like 8 or 9 years.
She's been there for a very long time, yes.
And they, are like, oh, we're the Chipmunks, and she's like, I have absolutely no idea who or what you are, and I think I'm going crazy. So the movie brings to question, there are people in the world who either have like limited TV access, are in a coma, or like in a place where like the Chipmunks reach does not hit. And that's really scary to me. Like, imagine you like are in a coma for 5 years, and when you wake up, somebody's like listening to music and you're like, oh, what the hell is that? And they're like, oh, it's this like band of singing chipmunks, and it's real. How do you adjust to that?
Well, you go, huh? That's really all I could think of. If I was put on the spot in that situation, I would just have to go, huh?
I think
I'll be.
I think you would disbelieve for a bit. Oh, I would disbelieve for a bit. Just like it's just like a YouTube thing or something. It's like that got really popular. They're animated, but then you see them and there's like live concert chipmunks, and you see all these like chip heads, like they're like really like gung ho about it, and like, okay,
you see the Witch Doctor concert and you lose your mind. Like you see it on YouTube and you're just like, holy fuck, yeah, I guess,
real.
Yeah, it's real. It's all real. I gotta know more about this.
So this movie starts out. It's the cruise ship. I like how there isn't any like subtext of like we're like really gonna go anywhere. It's like there's like the music like festival awards thing, so something like that. But like,
yeah, they're just going on vacation. The cruise ship is just for vacation, and it says you could expect the first 10 minutes. You know what it's gonna be like. They're gonna be singing their pop song of the month. They're going to be causing all sorts of like little people like little animated people like Smurfs problems.
Little folk problems.
Yeah, when you're an animated little animal in a movie, and you get up to like trouble. Yes, like anything that falls under that category. On a cruise ship, you could bet your ass Alvin is riding down a water slide in a shoe.
Yeah, how could there not be a water slide like happening right now? And how could Alvin not be using this in the most reckless and dangerous way he could for his little chipmunk self?
Well, they really, what's the word? Front load this movie with like songs, right? Like the first, I want to say 20 minutes is where all the singing happens, and then like a lot of character introspective stuff happens in like the middle of the movie, and then I think they sing at the end, like right at the end, and then that's about it in terms of singing, which is funny considering what these chipmunks are and what their whole kind of thing is.
The thing is, I think a lot of it too is not really like, oh, like these are music scenes. Like they don't really get the excuse to like bust out like musical songs. It's just like they're singing in this scene, and like
the chipmunks are on vacation. They are not supposed to be working,
but yet they cannot. It's like they're compelled to. It's less that they're just like there's this dance off scene, which is fucking fantastic. It's incredible.
Yeah.
where the Chipettes Eleanor like bumps into a lady's shoe, and there's these three just like beautiful women who are like,
God, I'm glad that you're saying they're beautiful too. They were so pretty, these women that these chipmunks had a conflict with, and it's so funny. This conflict doesn't need to happen. Like, a chipmunk bumped into this woman's like high heel shoe. That's nothing.
And she said, "Oh, I'm sorry," and then there was suddenly beef, and of course, the Chipettes aren't going to take that lying down. We actually get to know them. They actually have personalities in this one, and Brittany is like kind of a bitch, but in like the best way possible.
Yeah.
She's very much a "let me speak to your manager. I am fucking Brittany Chipette. You don't know who you're fucking talking to. Let me do this like incredibly choreographed dance number at these women."
Honestly, it's so great. We spent the latter half, the majority of their introduction in the Speakuel, just like on Alvin and the Chipmunks. But this feels like their movie. Like, ChipWrekt, a lot of it is for them, and I'm really glad for that.
Isn't it funny how... Now, this is getting a little off topic, but
okay.
I feel it appropriate to mention. Third movie, ChipWrekt. Fourth movie, Road Chip.
Alright.
The first movie is Alvin and the Chipmunks. The second movie is Alvin and the Chipmunks 2, the Speakuel. Why'd they do Chip twice for the title on those last two?
I think they might have run out of ideas, because at least with ChipWrekt, that to me is the stronger of between ChipWrekt and Road Chip, right?
That's what I'm thinking. Like, I feel like they've already used Chip and Squeak. I feel like they're now Monk. I
was gonna say, I don't know if Monk could make like a
Road Monk.
Monk Rock.
Monk
like
Road?
Punk rock?
But then then that goes into the territory of just changing what the fourth movie is presumably about.
Well, we're not on that now. We gotta talk about this kind of... I feel like every single one of these movies so far, maybe aside from the first one, has been specifically about how much of an asshole Alvin is and how much he needs to get his shit together. And he, for the most part, does in the second movie. But, like, now he needs to even more so. And I feel like he actually, like, learns a lesson in this one, whereas in the last one he was just like, Alvin, we need your help because the girls got kidnapped. And then Alvin just got to be forgiven immediately.
Yeah.
But this one, he actually, like, kind of realizes why he was wrong, and he gets to see it from the other, like, he gets to kind of be Dave for a little bit, and that's like very I almost said humanizing.
That's very human of him to want to be Dave. I too want to be Dave, a manager of very powerful chipmunks.
Now, do we want to mention Ian?
We have to.
How could we
they got David
him?
Cross for a third movie somehow, and this is the worst they treated him.
Here, it's more so a duty that we have to talk about him. So I'm going to start off by, you see him and you immediately know before you even see his face that yes, that must be Ian. There's no fucking way it isn't. You see a big dumb looking bird costume that's like kind of spooky looking and like ragged, and it's like the mascot of the boat or whatever. And he's always this costume, this big stork or pelican. I believe it's a pelican.
I think it's a seagull.
Pelican.
Yeah, it's a big.
No, it's a pelican.
Yeah, it's got
Alright.
It's got a big fat beak. So big scary pelican keeps staring at Dave in all these different situations. Gets to harm Dave's nether regions. A little bit. Yeah, they dump this bird knocks some soup onto Dave's nutsack. That's one thing that goes down.
You didn't have to say.
I
You
didn't
had to say nutsack.
I didn't have to say that, but I just felt it was right. And
keep it rolling.
Keep it rolling. Okay. So, yeah. It's Ian the whole time, and he wears the suit the whole time. He's naked under it, apparently.
Yeah, that's the big.
That's why
joke
he never
of
takes
movie.
it off.
Man, they really just wanted to punish him for
Punish?
like the movie, the directors or somebody on this group. They just wanted to punish David Cross for
You don't think he
even
was having
daring
fun?
to like take the money to be in the first movie.
They're like, come on. They're like wiggling a check in front of his face, and they're like, come on. It's just a pelican suit. You only have to wear it the whole movie.
Come on, you're gonna have a redemption arc. Don't you want to have a redemption arc?
I hope, I pray with all my soul that I have a feeling he's super not in the fourth one, but I really hope he just makes a cameo and he's wearing some stupid shit again.
I gotta believe that he's in the fourth one, at least a little bit. Like, the flame can't die in the third movie. He needs to continue on. His character's too good for it to be dropped.
He spends a majority of the movie with Dave, just trying to find the boys. They are also on the deserted island, and like,
did we even mention how they got on the deserted island?
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it
does-
was mentioned. It's fine.
Okay,
They flew away
antics.
in a kite, and then Dave and Ian also were trying to go on a hang glider, and stupid. Anyway, they're on the island, and like Ian is kind of like he's lost a lot of his bite, I would say. Like, he's still mad and he's whatever, but he's like, he's following Dave along. He like, you know, just kind of is like calling out for the chipmunks, you know,
So
in a
he
rude
lost
way,
his bite, but before they got stranded on an island, he said, I'm going to ruin your life in every way that I can, pretty much. He literally took a job on this vacation. He's like, I'm going to ruin your life starting with this vacation. And like, that's pretty, like, that. I guess that isn't as, like, dastardly, but it sure does, like, feel like, damn, that's, like, a dedication to, like, my point now is to make your life worse.
Listen, I have gone through hell. But no, like, he when they're on the island, he almost seems very like blasé. Like, he doesn't really care that they're stranded. He's just following him around. He's like, whatever. He's making small talk. Like, he acts like he doesn't care, and it's not like he's super kind. But he does have a moment of kindness where he, you know, talks to Dave, and he's like, listen, I might hate your fucking guts, and I hate those little rat bitches, but hey, you're a good dad, I guess. Here, give me a hug.
You're
He
good
gives
for
him a
those
hug.
boys. And then he tries to eat the little necklace that Theodore made for Dave because
It has dried noodles on it.
it's made of dry noodles. It's honestly a pretty cute accessory to have on this vacation.
Should
But-
it even be meant? Sorry, I'm just thinking about like Theodore and like what little he's given in this movie. Should we even mention that he watches a scary movie because of Alvin being irresponsible?
Absolutely not.
And then
It's
it's another eagle situation that doesn't
Yeah,
go
you
anywhere.
Remember how Theodore was scared of eagles in the second one? Now he's scared of a monster he saw in a scary movie. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, Theodore's scared. What else is new? You know, like Theodore is basically just a vector for Simon to get mad at Alvin or somebody to get mad at Alvin.
Theodore's the kind of character who, you know, when there's a difficult conversation going on, he's the one like standing off in the corner, and the people
Left
having the conversation like don't see him there, and he like hears it and he gets upset about it.
Yeah, he's the kind that you would like run away and just
Yeah,
like you'd have to have a whole like 15 to 20 minute part of the movie dedicated to them being like, Theodore, you did come back. It's like, why?
Thankfully, it doesn't go like that.
It doesn't. That doesn't happen, but it feels like it should.
I mean, it kind of happens, but we're not there yet, really.
Okay, let's talk about Zoe first, Simone second, and then the Alvin's whole situation this movie.
Okay.
So Zoe is the human woman I mentioned earlier who was stranded on the island. She said she like flew cargo planes or something and she crashed. So her role is, I think, to be kind of a parallel to Dave, where Dave is, kind of seen as uptight and like has too many strict rules on the chipmunks during their vacation, which Alvin hates, of course. Zoe doesn't seem to give a shit, and she's like, let's go on this fun zip line, which leads to Eleanor getting hurt. And like, she's kind of supposed to be seen as like, this is what it's like if you had like a parent who didn't care and like, didn't try and keep you safe or had any kind of like rules set for you.
It was a gradual like evolution of Dave in the first movie, who like ultimately really cares about these chipmunks even though he's pissed off by them, to what was his name? Toby in the second movie being like utterly incompetent and not caring to like grow into try and be a good parent, to just someone who doesn't care, really doesn't care, and doesn't grow to care about these chipmunks.
Yeah, Toby doesn't give a shit about those chipmunks.
No, I meant Zoe in this movie. But
oh, I thought you were talking about Toby. I was gonna say he doesn't really care that much.
Yeah,
but Zoe particularly has sort of like the opposite sort of development as Dave, where Dave begins as somebody who does not care about chipmunks, but then becomes their father. Zoe, sort of, is like, oh, they're cute, I'm gonna keep them around, let's have fun, and she grows more and more sinister towards them as it goes on.
Right.
To the point where she is using them as a tool to get treasure. The treasure's mine! Where did you find that tiara?
That leads into, I feel like, a good Simone segue, because while in charge of the chipmunks for about 2 minutes total, Simon gets bit by a spider that he says will drastically change his personality. So of course he wakes up the next morning and he is calling himself Simone. He's talking in a French accent. He's like Call of the Wild, like, he wears a headband.
Frankly, he's badass.
Yeah, I was dancing around it, but you're right, Gert, he's pretty badass.
Frankly, he's a badass little man, isn't he?
Yeah, he's super badass. Like, he's hitting on Jeanette. That's the girl Simon.
Yeah, and he's hitting on him. Vivi, who are you? You remind me of someone.
But yeah, he's being irresponsible. He's like bungee jumping, he's doing all this stuff, and it's up to Alvin to kind of take the Simon role, because earlier Simon kept sticking his neck out for Alvin towards the beginning of the movie, and now it's Alvin's turn to kind of like be the oldest brother in a way, which Simon usually kind of fills that role. So it's kind of interesting like role switching there.
Mm-hmm. And like that leads into his character arc. But I want to like go back a second to like the thing about Jeanette and like Simone.
Oh Jesus!
Because that answers like a pretty like big question we had in the second movie about like what's their relationship, like the chipmunks and the chipettes, and it's like it was kind of touched upon in the last movie, but it wasn't focused on at all. And at the end, it was just like, oh, we're family. Just like that. But here it's like they're like two different sets of kids that like have like romantic tension, quote unquote. I guess you could say. I mean, like with Simon and Jeanette, that's like the one they really focus on, and that's like the one there's something I like with like Brittany and Alvin that's kind of like with their 80s counterparts, where there's that rivalry there, but like Brittany just straight up doesn't like Alvin.
Yeah, no, she hates him.
she thinks Alvin is just really fun. Like, it's funny because at the very end of the second movie, everything's really well, but then you must realize that there has been an amount of time that has went by where these six have to live under the same roof together, and we didn't see any of that. That led to that led to what we saw in her opinions on Alvin.
Yeah, it's very obvious by the way she talks to him or talks about him that she's just absolutely sick of it. Like, she doesn't want anything to do with him. Like Jeanette and Simon have the most, I think, of like obvious romantic interest in each other. They're like, ooh, like flirting and giggling with each other.
Well, hello there. I noticed that you were reading the same book I was reading.
I noticed you were
that's
reading
funny.
Animorphs.
I noticed you were reading Animorphs on your phone.
on your Kindle.
I actually love Animorphs. Oh, really?
But and then you got Eleanor and Theodore, who kind of have a kind of more, I would say, sweet little thing going on. Yeah, they're like two children, like in the most truest sense, where they just are like, hey, like, Eleanor, you want to dance with me? And she's like, okay.
God,
and then they just like have a sweet little dance.
It's like at the wedding, any wedding, it doesn't matter. There's like a 5-year-old and like somebody's niece and somebody's nephew, and it's just like, oh, look at them, they're standing next to each other, and then like they're both blushing a lot, and it's just like they're just embarrassing these children in a public place. That's the kind of character that Eleanor and Theodore are.
But with Brittany and Alvin, they don't even show like a, those kind of love to hate relationships, where they're like, where they're, well, yeah, like where they like bicker and stuff, but then there's like a moment or two where they flirt, and you're like, oh, I see, they actually really like each other. There is none of that. They have pleasant conversations with each other, no doubt, but there's not any like romantic, I guess, what would you say it, like undertones in anything they say to each other. They're either having a very serious discussion on like Brittany and Alvin have a really nice talk where Alvin is like really sad, and he's like, I don't think Dave is coming to find us. And she's like, well, why would you say that? And he's like, well, I think he actually like hates me, and I don't blame him because I've been such an asshole. Now that I've experienced what it's like to have to look after all my brothers, and like have been put in the Dave role, I don't blame him. Like, I think he hates me. And
God,
Brittany,
I caught myself just now. Like, I caught myself now feeling true emotion, and I just wanted to let y'all know, like, this happened like when that scene was happening, when we were watching it too. Like, when like, I shit you not, while Alvin was like talking like this, I was thinking, it's a little bit like Hunter x Hunter, It's like,
shut up.
it's like I mean
shut
it,
up,
though.
shut up, shut up.
But the thing is though, I not the Hunter x Hunter thing. The thing is, this is the most emotional like I've felt about the Chipmunks in these 3 movies.
It really catches you off guard, I think, is what I really mean.
It utilizes like the introductions they had to do in the other 2 movies to like really hit home like this like dynamic between Dave and Alvin, and like get to the emotional core of that in like a really like satisfying way that like they couldn't do in the other 2 movies. And like it's weird that it's in this Nickelodeon type TV movie. This is a 20th Century Fox movie.
It's the first time that this series of movies, out of the 3 that we've watched, where I felt empathy, like as a result of the movie, I felt empathy. Well, I guess I kind of felt empathy for Dave, but I felt empathy for Alvin, which is like
rare.
It's rare. I felt empathy for these little like chipmunks, and I was like, you know what? Bravo! I'm glad you decided to put emotional depth in this thing for some reason.
But to circle back a tiny bit, that's what we mean when it's like, it's weird. Are they like brother and sister? Are they romantic leads? Do they like always live with the Chipmunks, or was Dave just taking them on vacation? Because in the 80s cartoon, didn't the Chipettes have like a different caretaker?
Yeah, like this old lady, I think. which like delineated it more so. That's like, oh, they had this setting. They go to school together and they go to different houses and whatnot. But here it's like Dave is taking care of them both, is what's assumed.
Big house.
Well, I mean, you don't need that big of a house to have 6 tiny chipmunks.
Yeah,
I think they share one room, like a Stuart Little situation.
I do feel like the aura that, like, a chipmunk takes up is probably about the same size as a human, though. Do you get what I mean by that? Like,
Well, especially Alvin.
Yeah, especially Alvin. When I look at Alvin, I do see, like a zone of danger around Alvin, like a circle.
So what happens by the end of this movie is that Simone finds some treasure, and he gives it to Jeanette as like a gift, and Zoe's like, hey, where'd you find that? And so she becomes obsessed with this, and it turns out that she actually lied to them. She's actually on the island specifically to find that treasure. Yes, she's been missing for that long, but that's because she's been obsessively trying to find this specific like dollar store treasure chest full of like gold doubloons
and like rubies and like just like earlier in the movie the way that like they find the treasure is because Simone gets that tiara. And there's like a little tiara in there. There's all sorts of...
What's a bracelet?
What's a bracelet? Yeah. Okay, it's a bracelet.
Well, it's a bracelet because it's
right,
there's not a chipmunk-sized tiara.
I mean, it might be a chipmunk-sized tiara. You know, it could be a tiny... Tiaras are small.
That's small.
They can be. And, you know, pirates...
What?
Pirates?
How are you gonna connect pirates and specifically chipmunk-sized tiaras?
Listen, it's a big treasure chest on an island. The pirates could have put it there. I know I was being
So where did they find it?
I was being a little presumptuous with the pirates. It could be anybody. But what I mean...
That's right, she doesn't even really specify, like, a legend or anything. She just says, I've been looking for this treasure, and then she holds up, like, a sheet book, like, notebook piece of paper of, like, a shitty map drawn up.
Who put this treasure here?
It's very apparent that this treasure and this volcano island has, like, no correlation to, like, the characters, their art. It is just a means to an end, to a plot, to a freaking Jungle Island movie, you know.
Was it implied in those final moments of the movie, was it implied that the, like, volcano was erupting because the treasure was disturbed?
I don't think it was implied. I think we just like read into that because it literally is like he gets the bracelet and then like the next day the volcano starts smoking. And there's no direct relation. Nobody says, "Oh, but the volcano's angry." The volcano's just going to erupt, and this is when they finally all reunite. Zoe kidnaps Jeanette to make her go fishing for the treasure for some reason. I guess she was trying to get.
You're a little
rat. It was like a small hole that she couldn't get through or dig through. So like, she had to like put a little chipmunk there and like fill your cheeks with the gold so that
your cheeks aren't full.
You could still talk, so you could still carry more gold. And you know, the whole thing about it is that Simone is finally not like, he's back to Simon, and there's a moment where he has to, you know, heroically rescue Jeanette without, you know, that fake personality. He has to use his own personality, and then there's a whole thing with Dave having to trust Alvin to like help him save the day, and then Dave's like about to die. He's like hanging off a log, like about to like go into a deep chasm, and Ian is back at the boat with like all the children, and I was surprised that Ian not at any moment was like, well, fuck Dave, and like left. See, they make a little raft together. But Ian goes back for Dave. Like, Ian's kind of the one who saves Dave, because Zoe's about to kill him and like make like step on his fingers and make him fall off. But Ian's like, I understand, but this isn't the answer. I let my like anger and rage consume me until it destroyed me. This isn't the answer. Like I'm going to be a better person. You have to learn to let go.
Or you could just let him drop. I'm fine either way. He did say that at the end. So like, what I love about Ian is that in this movie is that he is redeemed. He is a person that can be tolerated, but he is still like okay with other alternative he's fine with being a bastard, but he's not going to personally be a bastard anymore.
It's a great character arc, and like he's there by the end with Dave. Like,
oh yeah,
maybe they live together now. Maybe Uncle Ian is going to be the caretaker of. Oh, you know what? I bet Ian's going to be the person that takes care of Dave's house for some fucking reason in the next movie. Yeah, do y'all think that's gonna happen?
I guess what we'll see. I guess final thoughts here is that just, you know, this movie had a lot of emotional moments I wasn't expecting. Now, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I can't in any good conscience say, oh man, you gotta check out Chipwrekt.
When we say this movie had like a lot of emotional depth, we mean that in the context of it had a lot of an emotional depth for the 3 movies involving Alvin and the Chipmunks that we have watched.
There is something to this movie that is comforting, and it's just it plays out some tropes. You know, it does feel like a movie you just catch on TV, but there's some surprises in there. Like Ian's whole situation, I was not expecting. I was expecting him to be a complete bastard the entire movie and like constantly ruin things, but he is very cooperative throughout the entire thing. Like Zoe's whole like switch from like just this kind of almost ditzy woman to like evil treasure hunter is kind of it's funny. They all ride away on a raft together. By the end there's like a big volcano, like there's ashes raining down, like it's dramatic, and then it ends with a fun concert. And you know, what more could you want to end your movie with a volcanic eruption and then a concert starring
dance
Chipmunks?
Party.
Yes.
Every movie needs a dance party at the end. I liked the movie.
Yeah.
I thought it was fun. It was just watching that movie was just a summer afternoon, wasn't it?
It sure was. And speaking of the sun, I think it's coming up.
The speed of the sun.
Great segue.
And
I think we got a long road ahead of us.
Oh, Jesus.
We'll take a road trip.
Yeah.
We're about to head better pack your bags. I just don't understand how you go from a cruise. Shouldn't it make more sense that you're on the road first and then you go on the sea?
It seems like we kind of like jumped the gun a little too early with like. I always found it strange when a sequel to something was like really like a lot more epic than the first like
Brave Little Toaster Goes to Mars.
Goes
anyway.
to Mars. Yeah.
Oh God! I think I hear the scientists coming. Come on, we gotta go.
We gotta go. Okay, I'm Lucy.
I'm Rene.
I am Gert.
Hurry up! Let's go.
Go. Bye.